Greetings, dear viewers. You're on our channel and we're delighted to have you join us. In recent times, the world stage has witnessed a myriad of significant events, fundamentally reshaping geopolitical landscapes. Today, we delve into some of the most intriguing developments, particularly focusing on historical prophecies and recent international tensions. Before we begin, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting that like button. Your support is incredibly valuable for our growth and visibility. Also, if you're watching, let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. To ensure you don't miss any crucial insights, make sure to watch this video until the very end, as we'll be presenting our key conclusions there. Very few seers or mystics can boast of precise chronological accuracy when foretelling pivotal global occurrences. Eddgar Кейси, an American clairvoyant known as the Sleeping Prophet, stands as a remarkable exception to this rule. His moniker wasn't accidental. He delivered his prophecies while in a deep trance, a state where his conscious mind would recede, allowing insights to flow, as he described, from the depths of his subconscious. Unlike many spiritualists, Кейси approached his unique gift with an extraordinary level of discipline and organization. Over a span of 43 years, he conducted more than 14,000 sessions, and remarkably, detailed transcripts of these sessions were meticulously preserved. This extensive record provides an invaluable resource for scholars to meticulously examine his methodologies and assess the startling accuracy of his foresight. His predictions often astonished his contemporaries. For instance, he accurately foresaw the devastating Wall Street crash of 1929. Furthermore, he precisely identified the start and end dates of both world wars. Notably, he pinpointed the year 1991 as the moment of the Soviet Union's dissolution, a prediction made decades in advance. Even in 1944, as the Red Army advanced and many in the United States still perceived Hitler as an invincible force, Кейси confidently predicted the swift downfall of the Third Reich. Tragically, he passed away in January 1945, just before the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yet he left behind an extensive collection of predictions concerning the coming century, many of which astonishingly resonate with current events. Based on Кейsi's documented visions, Western civilization is poised to encounter immense natural calamities. He indicated that the primary catalyst for these events would originate in the southern expanse of the Pacific Ocean. Disturbances there, he warned, would unleash a cascading effect, ultimately engulfing the entire globe. Among his most alarming forecasts was the prospective disappearance of major urban centers and regions such as London, Paris, Rome, the entirety of Japan, New York, and California. These cataclysmic events, according to his prophecies, would trigger widespread inundation in some areas, while simultaneously causing vast swathes of the ocean floor to emerge in others. Lands that had lain submerged for millions of years in the ocean's depths would once again see the light of day. Contemporary analyses of these apocalyptic scenarios offer various interpretations. Some postulate the impact of colossal asteroids, powerful enough to provoke tectonic plate shifts. Others suggest the potential deployment of potent underwater nuclear armaments. It's crucial to bear in mind that Кейси died before the dawn of the atomic age and therefore could not explicitly articulate concepts like nuclear technologies. Skeptics are quick to point out that current astronomical observations do not indicate any imminent approach of hazardous celestial bodies. However, proponents of Кейsi's prophecies argue that he might have been alluding to alternative, as yet undiscovered catalysts for profound global transformations. One of the most debated and fascinating aspects of Кейsi's prophecies pertains to the future of China. During a period when China was an economically vulnerable nation, heavily reliant on external powers, Кейsi astonishingly foresaw its sweeping spiritual rejuvenation. He posited that China would evolve into a pivotal hub of a new spiritual consciousness destined to fundamentally alter the global order and exert considerable influence over international policy, cultural landscapes, and prevailing worldviews. Furthermore, Eddgar Кейsi contended that China would become the crucible of Christianity. For modern-day China, with its traditionally reserved stance on religious matters, this specific prediction appears almost unfathomable. Nevertheless, the prophet remained steadfast in his conviction. It is precisely this spiritual awakening that will serve as the primary impetus for China's profound spiritual rebirth. Numerous scholars view this prophecy as a symbolic representation of radical shifts in the mindset and collective consciousness of the Chinese populace. Russia too holds a distinctive and significant position within his prophetic visions. Кейси with absolute precision foretold the cessation of the communist era and the disintegration of the Soviet Union by the conclusion of the 20th century. Yet Russia's subsequent destiny, based on his insights, promises to be considerably more captivating. The clairvoyant articulated that a period would arrive when Russia would emerge as a beacon of hope for all humankind. During this transformative era, the nation would extend to people a genuine form of freedom, one founded on the principle of living for the welfare of others rather than solely for personal gain. Case also spoke of a profound religious reawakening and a steadfast commitment to preserving traditional values within Russia, envisioning these as the bedrock for the country's spiritual resurgence. What particularly stands out is his assertion that natural disasters would impact Russia far less severely compared to Western nations. Moreover, once global stability is re-established, Western Siberia, he believed, would transform into one of the planet's most desirable regions. This area, according to the prophet, would accumulate a unique, pure energy, fostering an environment conducive to unparalleled development and prosperity. Case dedicated specific attention to the persona of Russia's forthcoming leader. His forecasts suggested that this individual would be instrumental in actively integrating cutting-edge technologies, thereby securing widespread popularity and substantial influence. The ultimate vision of the prophet approaches the realm of fantasy. This leader, he declared, would subsequently become the sovereign of the world. Thus, in Casey's estimation, Russia is destined to assume the mantle of a global leader within the international community. The remarkable precision of Casey's prophecies throughout the 20th century compels serious consideration of his outlook for the 21st. Whether these predictions will materialize remains to be seen, as only time will reveal their truth. However, it is already evident that certain trends, once dismissed as mere fantasy in the mid-last century, are gradually unfolding into reality. In recent months, a notable online dispute between the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, and the Deputy Chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, Dmitriem Medvedev, escalated to an unprecedented level. International news outlets reacted with astonishment when Trump declared that, in response to Medvedev's recent remarks, he had issued an order to relocate nuclear-armed atomic submarines closer to Russia's shores. This pronouncement significantly heightened anxieties regarding a potential escalation of tensions between the two major global powers. The leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin, responded with decisive action, which further intensified the global community's focus on the situation. Indeed, reports confirmed that these submarines were observed near Russia's territorial waters, triggering apprehension among military strategists and analysts. Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, articulated during a broadcast on the Newsmax television channel that Medvedev had uttered exceptionally adverse statements, specifically mentioning nuclear armaments. Trump remarked that Medvedev frequently overstepped boundaries, and he desired merely to ensure that Medvedev's words remained solely verbal threats. The Pentagon refrained from either corroborating or refuting the president's assertions. While many dismissed the provocative statement as a jest, informed sources maintained that Trump was entirely serious. Russian intelligence services registered the swift approach of nuclear-armed American atomic submarines towards the maritime borders of the Russian Federation. This unprecedented deployment of American submarines within the Pacific theater, specifically near Russia's naval boundaries, was documented by radio intelligence and hydroacoustic monitoring data. This data indicated that at least 2 of the 15 Virginia-class submarines, typically stationed near Japan, dramatically closed the distance, moving closer to Russia's Pacific flank. These maneuvers commenced merely a few hours after Donald Trump's public declaration. Concurrently, the United States did not engage with Russian diplomatic channels, nor did it offer official comments on their president's statements, as reported by the Telegram channel Intelligence Officer. The palpable apprehension evident in Western media is perceived by numerous experts as an integral component of Trump's broader information campaign. Prior to his weekend golf outing, the President of the United States chose to provide American news outlets with what he considered sensational news. In reality, the atomic submarines were already en route to the specified region as part of their routine operations. However, to amplify the sense of alarm, Donald Trump deliberately published a provocative message on the social media platform Truth, thereby intensifying the impact. Insiders suggest that Dmitry Medvedev received Trump's reaction with a degree of satisfaction. The deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, according to reports from the Insight Telegram channel, remains prepared to continue this correspondence war to put American officials in an awkward position. Medvedev reportedly chuckled upon learning of Trump's threat and believes that the US president's reaction merely reinforced his resolve to persist in the information conflict across social media. From a strategic military standpoint, the redeployment of American submarines closer to Russia does not elicit grave concern within the Kremlin. Russia's advanced coastal surveillance system, Harmony, alongside its space intelligence capabilities, effectively tracks the movements of foreign submarines. Simultaneously, informed sources contend that Trump's overtly theatrical gesture is not currently regarded as a genuine threat. Nevertheless, analysts observe that American political figures and media outlets are experiencing considerable disquiet due to the unpredictable nature of the Russian leader. Sources speculate that a potential response from Vladimir Putin genuinely alarms the American side, which is already in a state of heightened alert given Trump's erratic disposition. Dmitry Smirnov, a journalist from the Kremlin pool, posed the question: is Trump brandishing a nuclear club at Russia, implying escalating tensions? Insiders indicate that in response to Trump's threats, Russian armed forces have received new directives from their president. The president of Russia recently announced the commencement of mass production for the Oreshnik complex. Acting on Putin's instructions, the military has already been tasked with compiling a list of targets for this complex, particularly in light of the threats involving the redeployment of American atomic submarines. An urgent directive was issued to the military on the night following Trump's statement. This planned data update, it is noted, coincided with the exacerbation of the situation with Washington. Military personnel are expected to update intelligence on the locations of critically important military sites in Ukraine in the coming days to furnish a detailed list of targets to the commander-in-chief. Putin's decision is perceived as a symmetrical countermeasure to the display of force by the United States. Following the Russian president's rationale, while Americans expend several days on submarine repositioning, Russia is already capable of demonstrating its strong stance and conveying a message of unwavering resolve. Consequently, the ongoing exchange between Medvedev and Trump, unfolding across online platforms and news media, could once again precipitate tangible repercussions on the battlefield, potentially involving Ukraine. The escalation in both the informational and military domains underscores the profound ideological and strategic conflicts between Russia and the United States, which are presently navigating a new phase of strategic rivalry. Both nations are actively employing hybrid pressure tactics, ranging from political declarations and cyber attacks to overt displays of military strength near each other's borders. This fosters an unstable environment where any miscommunication or miscalculation could lead to severe confrontations. A pivotal aspect of the current standoff is the role of Ukraine, which has long served as a complex arena for geopolitical maneuvering. The increased operational tempo of US nuclear forces near Russian coasts, combined with assertive statements from Russian authorities, fuels concerns that the Ukrainian conflict might indeed become the catalyst for a broader military engagement. The international community is closely monitoring these unfolding events, advocating for restraint and diplomatic dialogue. Concurrently, the technological and strategic advancement of Russia's armed forces, including the deployment of the Oreshnik complex, signals the nation's readiness to repel any challenges. These measures are not merely aimed at bolstering defensive capabilities, but also at sending an unequivocal message to global actors about Russia's steadfast commitment to safeguarding its interests. Amidst such high levels of uncertainty, the capacity for swift and appropriate response emerges as a paramount component of global security. Conclusions. To summarize, the prophecies of Edgar Кейsi, particularly those concerning global geopolitical shifts and natural transformations, demonstrate a startling accuracy that extends into the modern era. While his visions of large-scale natural disasters impacting Western nations and the spiritual resurgence of China and Russia remain subject to future validation, the consistency of his past predictions warrants our attention. The current volatile interactions between the United States and Russia, notably the public exchange between Donald Trump and Dmitry Medvedev and the subsequent military maneuvers, highlight a complex and dangerous phase of international relations. The strategic posturing, coupled with the unpredictable nature of key leaders, creates an environment where misjudgment carries significant risk. Russia's demonstrated capacity for rapid military response and its continued advancements in strategic weaponry, such as the Oreshnik complex, signal a clear intent to assert its power and protect its interest. The role of Ukraine in this escalating dynamic underscores the fragility of peace. As global actors navigate these turbulent waters, the imperative for de-escalation, clear communication, and a renewed commitment to diplomatic solutions becomes paramount to preventing potential conflicts from spiraling beyond control. YouTube timecodes for SEO niche queries. 0000 начало видео предсказания Эдгара Кейси «Спящий Пророк» 0054. Кейси предсказания о мировых войнах, распад СССР, крах фондового рынка. 0133 пророчество Кейси о природных катастрофах, исчезновение городов 0248. Будущее Китая по Кейси, духовное возрождение Китая 0338, Кейси о России, надежда человечества, новый лидер 0515, интернет-ссора Трампа и Медведева, переброска подлодок 0617, ядерные угрозы, реакция Пентагона, маневры у берегов России 0727, информационная война в соцсетях, Truth, Медведев о Трампе 0820. Непредсказуемость российского лидера, комплекс Орешник 0929. Симметричный ответ Путина, эскалация конфликта Украина 1020. Геополитические игры, гибридные методы давления, международная безопасность.